So I've decided to come down here. I'm down, sitting by the side of the river, just pondering and looking and thinking, not walking. Got a little bit of a funky knee today, so I'm not doing the walking part. But I would love to talk a little bit about forgiveness today. Forgiveness can be really hard, especially when it's a big thing, and especially when the people who you need to forgive are not acknowledging the fact that they did anything wrong. It makes it super hard. And yet, when you don't forgive, resentments build up and you kind of get stuck in your heart about it, right? And life becomes more dangerous. For me, when I don't forgive, I start to think everybody's going to harm me. When I allow forgiveness to kick in, then it's not as scary. I keep my heart open, because that's the big thing, right? If I have my heart closed up with all of the harms and the hurts of my world, then I don't have room for love to be present. And for those of you who don't know, I have had some really, really, really big things to forgive. I'm not talking little normal offenses here and there. I'm talking about great big things that destroyed my family as I knew it. Forgiveness of things that will never be resolved because now certain people have passed on. There were big things that no one ever admitted. Like there's two big situations. There's obviously family of origin and parents and things like that. And it's easier to give them, honestly, because they didn't know what they didn't know. The other situation was full of betrayal, full of harm that my family is still dealing with. And so what does that look like, right? When years later, the repercussions of those actions are still being felt. Like, how do you forgive that, right? And how do you forgive so that your heart can go on and at the same time protect yourself from something like that ever happening again? So, first of all, you are not cool enough to know how to forgive. I'm just going to straight up say that. Forgiveness is not about you knowing how. Because that was my thing. Like, I don't know how to forgive this. Like, this is too big. How do I forgive it? It was almost like it was unreasonable, right? Unreasonable. Even to ask me to forgive that thing. Like, it kind of was like, oh, sure, I just get to let it go and they get to get off scot-free. That one is a lie. And I know it feels true, but it's a lie. Yes, you forgive. And you also honor the fact that you were hurt. So one of the problems with forgiveness is if we do it too quickly, we actually don't honor the pain that we experienced. And that doesn't help anybody. You've got to honor the fact that this sucked and that this wasn't okay and that you are wounded and that the things that have happened because of it are still happening, right? When you do that and you can say, this happened and it wasn't okay, and nobody else has to acknowledge that for that to be true. Now we can start forgiving. See, if you're waiting for the other person to acknowledge the harm that they caused, you'll never be free. Now, I know you were trained. We were all trained. Ooh, look at that. Getting whacked in the head. We were all trained, honestly, to hold on to things. Did you know that? So think back to when you were a kid and maybe you got smacked by your brother or your sister or somebody bullied you. And what happened was you were standing there with the wounds and the sting if it was being hit, or the emotional wounds if you were being bullied, right, and teased. And somebody said, just get over it, okay? It's over. Just get over it. That doesn't feel right, does it? And then the other is, you stay right there. Don't move. Stay right there. I'm going to make sure. Just a minute. Come here. You come here and they bring the other person who offended you or to hurt you or, physically wounded you. And they say, you say you're sorry right now. You need to say you're sorry. And so what do? Sorry. And then they leave. And it's like, okay, it's over. Guess what? You never received. Oh, come here. Let me see your wound. Let me see. Oh, I see that. Does that sting? Is there something I can do to help you? Yeah, that wasn't nice, was it? Okay. Well, what would you like? Would you like a treat? Would you like a hug? Would you like a kiss? I'll go talk to them and make sure they know what happened, right? But are you okay? All right. All right. I'll go talk to them. You'll be okay. And being nurtured by the adult who's intervening, that lets us forgive. Why? It lets us let go. Why? Because we are healed by somebody other than the perpetrator. Like, they didn't have to acknowledge at all that they did anything wrong for you to be taken care of and nurtured. That is actually what Christ offers. He offers that moment of, let me see your wound. Let me see what happened. What do we need to do? Are you okay? Do you need a hug? Do you need a kiss? Do you need a bandage? Do you need some painkiller? What do you need so that you're okay? And then he gets to go deal with the person who harmed you. Can you imagine if we actually experienced that when we were kids? That when we were wounded, we were taken care of first. And then, going to the perpetrator and saying, hey, what was this about? What happened? Without shaming, without anger, just with exploring why that behavior, what were the emotions behind it. So they were poking at you and you were feeling teased, and so you told them to stop and they wouldn't stop, so you hit them. Yeah, it's really frustrating, right, to be teased. And when people don't hear you and you're asking them to stop and you're trying to control yourself. Yeah. Okay. So what actually we need to do next is, first of all, let me check your wounds. Let me see. Yeah, that felt really bad, huh? And they were mean and they said that to you. Yeah, that doesn't feel good, does it? Okay, so what did you do when you felt that? Oh, you tried to tell them and then you hit them? Okay. Well, hitting is not okay. I know that you felt this. I understand that you felt really sad and they were being very mean to you and they were teasing you and bugging you. I know. Let's talk about what we can do instead. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is let's go and talk to them and just say, I'm really sorry that this is what I did when I felt this. And what I would really like is for you to just know that I don't like it when you do that. And then, let's have a conversation and you and I can talk about what's another plan. So, if they tease you again and if they bully you again or whatever, I want you to come to me and tell me before you hit, okay? Before you take it in your own hands. Let's work this out so that you know what to do. Wouldn't that be divine? Okay. So it's not a perfect world. We weren't perfect parents. I was not a perfect parent. I did not do this with my children well. I actually taught them to hold on to things. I taught them it's not over until somebody says sorry. And so they hold on to things. Yep. My parents did the same. So I learned to hold on to things. Until I had a great, big, huge thing that I had to forgive. Unforgivable. Massive betrayal. That's another story for another time. But really, really deep betrayal. Not just of one person, but of two, and very, very, very close to me. And I'm at church and I hear, you're supposed to forgive everyone. Like, how do you even do that? It's destroying your family. And nobody's taking responsibility for everything. And they continue to do that which is harmful. Like, are you serious? Like, how do you forgive something like that? Well, I believed him. I believed that for me, I was to forgive everybody, and for him, he gets to choose to forgive. Why? Because if somebody doesn't actually do what is required for that forgiveness, he's the one who gets to hold them accountable. But for me, I was required to forgive all. What I found out is that was absolute beautiful mercy. It was merciful because my heart could have been poisoned with resentment and bitterness and fear and distrust, and it could have stayed in me. And now the life I live right now would have never even been possible. I chose to learn what forgiveness actually was, not what I thought it was, right? This forgiving and forgetting, that's a joke. You can't forget. Are you kidding me? It's kind of not wise to forget, right? Because in the forgetting, you want to remember that this is what you don't like, so that doesn't make sense to forget that, right? So what are we forgetting in this? Well, when you work with Christ, what you forget is the emotional sting. You don't actually have to feel it anymore. It's quite beautiful. But to get there, okay, I'm going to say this again. You are not cool enough to know how to forgive. You're just not. You're not cool enough to know how. So this is what I did. I'm at church. I hear forgive everything. I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. You're supposed to forget all men. We're just supposed to be forgiving. And I'm like, I don't know how. So I actually went. I believed that that's what I was supposed to do. And I also realized that I didn't know how. So I went and I knelt down and I said, hey, God, how? How do I forgive this? How do I forgive this? And then the most important words you can ever speak. And that is teach me. Will you please teach me how to forgive? Teach me how to forgive this thing, because what I don't want, I remember saying this, I don't want my heart poisoned. I want to be open so that I can still feel love and not all of this bitterness, resentment, pain, betrayal, hurt, sorrow. I trust in the atonement. I believe it's real. I believe that you can help. So teach me. What I found out is that forgiveness is a process. And it took about 8 years, and I had a very, very beautiful experience that should have never happened, where I was able to tell someone who had hurt me deeper than any human has ever hurt me to date. I was able to say that I loved him, and I could feel it. It was quite powerful. But it's a process. It's not quick, it's not easy, and it's easy. And God was merciful. Like, there were steps along the way, and I didn't have to face really stupid, ugly things and push myself emotionally. He was able to just kind of remove some of the stuff that I needed to forgive. It was so beautiful. It wasn't immediate. I still felt the pain, but I trusted. I did. I went to a conference. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Fred Luskin, who is a forgiveness expert. Just like Brene Brown researched shame, Fred Luskin researched forgiveness and what happens and what are the stages in big things for people to be able to let go and actually have a forgiving heart. Like, what does that look like and how does it happen? He wrote a book called Forgive for Good, and it was, the good part was not just for goodness, like that's part of it, like forgive for the goodness in it, but also for good, like be done with it. I got the opportunity to go to a workshop with him. It was beautiful. It was in Maryland. And listen to him talk about forgiveness and how this process goes down. He led us through a meditation. And I want to do that with you now. So I want you to take those. It doesn't have to be big, like not the great big one, but some people that are irritating you, that you've got some resentments for. I would love for you to just kind of put them into your mind. Don't be feeling all the resentments too much, okay? Don't be feeling it too much. Just know who they are and work with me here. Now, this may be a really, really good thing for you. If it is, save this video, share it with people that you feel need to forgive people. And here's the thing, I'm going to say it one more time. You do not need to know how to forgive. You only have to be willing. So what that means is you have to say, I am willing to live a life without this pain, without this fear, without the resentment. I don't know what it even looks like, and I don't know how to get there, but I'm willing to live a life without it. Then you'll be guided to things. Then he's going to help you. Here's what I was guided to. Are you ready? Okay, so get ready. Go find a place where you can just sit. You can breathe. You can kind of relax. It's about 5 minutes long. So I'm going to give you a minute to go find that. If you want to lay down on the ground, just lay down where you are. If you're in a chair, you don't have to lay down. You can just, kind of relax and sink into your chair and shut your eyes. And you're going to turn your hands up and you're going to put them on the tops of your knees. If you're laying down, then I would love for you to take your hands and just have palms up by your side. Okay? All right. So, get into that comfortable position, and we're going to do this. What I want you to do, I'm going to say a phrase, and you are going to repeat it in your own mind after me. And the goal is for you to really feel the words that I'm saying. Let the emotion come in. Let yourself feel the emotions out. Let yourself feel the words. Okay? All right, here we go. First of all, take a deep breath in. I'm going to do this with you. I've got some things I've got to forgive. I do. I've got some wounds that happened recently that I need to forgive, so I'm with you. Ready? We're going to take a deep breath in. And we're going to let it out. I want you to feel sensations on your body. So right now I'm outside. I've got a little bit of a breeze. I can feel it on my skin. I want you to feel the floor underneath you or the chair underneath you. Take a deep breath. And get really focused in. Feel what it feels like when the air comes in through your nose. Feel it. And then feel what it feels like when your lungs collapse as you exhale. One last time, deep breath in. And let it go. All right. I'm going to say a phrase that I'd love for you in your own mind to say it and feel it. Ready? May I be loved. May I be loved. Open yourself up to receive the emotion of love. Deep breath in. May I be loved. Now think of those who are very close to you, family members, people you just love a lot, and say, may those who are nearest and dearest to me, may they be loved. May those who are nearest and dearest to me, may they be loved. May those who are nearest and dearest to me, may they please be loved. Deep breath in. Let it out. And again. May those that I have harmed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be loved. Deep breath in. May those I have harmed, whether I did it intentionally or unintentionally, may they be loved. May those I have harmed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be loved. Deep breath in and let it out. May those who have harmed me, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be loved. Take a deep breath. May those who have harmed me, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be loved. This is not about you loving them. It's about them experiencing love from somewhere else. May those who have harmed me, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may they be loved. And now, take a deep breath in and say, may I be loved. May I, in this moment, right now, may I be loved. Receive it. Deep breath in. May I be loved. Deep breath. When you're ready, you wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle your fingers. Come back into your space and open your eyes. And there we go. Now, I hope that was calming to you. Sometimes that can bring up some big feelings. I highly recommend you write some things down about what you experienced. I would love for you to send me your questions and your frustrations and your peace. Please share with me what you just experienced. For me, I experienced recognizing that I am the same. The person that I have unintentionally harmed. And I really want them to feel loved, even if they don't feel it from me. I want them to be healed because I don't know what to do to right the wrongs. I do my best, but sometimes it doesn't quite work, especially if they've been taught to hold on to things, even if I'm, remorseful. And then may those who have harmed me, even if they don't understand why, even if they're struggling, may they be loved. It helps me kind of release. Now, I'm not saying that forgiveness equals you having to be friends. It doesn't mean you have to stay in relationship with this person. It doesn't mean any of that. It also doesn't mean that you have to trust them. That's really important to know. I can forgive somebody in their humanness. They're human and they don't know what they're doing. And I don't have to trust them to come back into my space to hurt me again. So I think that's a very, very, very important thing for you to know. You do not have to trust. It is good for you to release this so that you can open your heart and experience all of the joy and all of the love that God wants to offer to you. So that is it. I am grateful that I got to do this and be on this beautiful Jordan River. Kind of reminds me of what I would imagine the Jordan River did look like. Kind of looks like a Moses River, right? Maybe the Nile. Anyway, thanks for being here. And please comment and let me know what you thought of this. And even if you're angry, even if it's not fair, just let me know.